just a moment or two. Just want to make sure everybody is on board. See Coach Day.
On a call.
Yeah, we'll ask that everybody stay on mute until you're called on. That would be much appreciated. Appreciate everybody getting on so quickly. I see Doc Borchers. Help me out, Gene. Are you on? I don't see your name.
You hear me, Jerry?
Yep, you can now. Okay, so we do have Director of Athletics Dean Smith, head football coach Ryan Day, and also our head team physician Dr. Jim Borchers on the call. Appreciate everybody hopping on so quickly with short notice, but we felt it was important to give you some updates of where the program is based on our news yesterday. We're not going to be able to get to everyone's questions, so I will ask to keep them to one per person. But to open, to open up some brief opening statements from each of our participants today. We'll open up with Gene, and then go to Dr. Borchers, and then Coach. Gene.
Well, thank you, Jerry. Let me thank all of you for being on. Thank you for your patience as we try and deal with the uncertainty that we have been dealing with. And just wanted to thank, first and foremost, Josh Whitman, my colleague, the athletic director at the University of Illinois, for his patience as he worked with us throughout the week. I want to thank our commissioner, Kevin Warren, as he in his office helped assisted us throughout this process. And I want to thank our partners at Fox as they worked with us deep into the evening with the potential opportunity to maybe play today. So I want to thank all of them for their hard work. But I also want to thank President Johnson for her guidance and steady hand as we went through this week and ultimately into the decision-making process that occurred last night. Team, I think we all know we're in the midst of a global pandemic. We live in Franklin County, which has a level 4 purple emergency rating with severe exposure and spread. This is our reality. We're struggling as a community to stop the spread of COVID-19, and we're operating in a very challenging environment. So having definitive guidance as we go through this process is always challenging. So we're learning a great deal as we go through this environment at the end. I want to thank our coaches and support staff for all adjustments that had to be made late last night to modify our plans. I can't share with you all how challenging it was late last night to ask for them to make the adjustments that they made. They did it, and I want to thank them for that. And I want to thank our players, our student athletes, for their patience and understanding as we put in place strategies to move forward. We made a decision last night to pause because our positivity rate reached a concerning level. We did not reach the Big Ten protocol thresholds, but the positivity rate was concerning enough where we felt we needed to pause and try and find a way to mitigate its spread and continue to ensure the safety of our student athletes. I want to thank our coaches and staff and student athletes and others who have done an outstanding job all the way through this point. We had an unbelievable run where we did not have the challenges that we've had this week and ultimately caused us to pause. So I want to thank them for that great effort. But our objective now is to continue to focus on the health and safety of our players, to make sure that we provide an opportunity to potentially come back to compete next weekend. The tactics and strategies that we will put in place today and tomorrow, the next day, and so on, is all with an effort to ensure their safety and possibly give them a chance to compete next weekend. That is our primary focus. It's not about the Big Ten tournament, the championship game. It's not about the CFP. It's not about those things, team. It's not about how many games we have to play. It's about one thing: their health, their safety, and making sure each day we give them a chance to possibly play next weekend. And that's our focus 100%. I also want to thank Jim Borchers for his steady hand. I want to thank Ryan Day for his unbelievable leadership and guidance. I want to thank Larry Johnson for stepping into an interim role as we try and manage this environment that is constantly challenging. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Borchers to share some information about our strategies and where we are and moving forward. So, and then Ryan Day will share a few things. So, Dr. Borchers.
Thanks, Gene. Thank you, everyone. Thanks for joining us here today. Appreciate Gene's leadership and appreciate all of you understanding just how difficult this time has been. As Gene has mentioned, we live in one of the most hard-hit areas of the country currently with COVID-19. As you know, Franklin County has been struggling with a significant increase in the number of cases per 100,000 individuals at now almost to about 700 cases per 100,000 individuals in our county, with increases in numbers of ER visits, outpatient visits, inpatient hospitalizations, the number of individuals that are getting COVID-19 outside of congregate settings, nursing homes and group homes and prisons and places like that. And as that environment has changed, it's challenged us as a group and as an athletic department to continue to be vigilant and maintain the health and safety of our student athletes. Our student athletes and staff have done an unbelievable job since August. We have essentially had no cases of COVID-19 until this week. And earlier in the week, this week, we did experience small numbers of cases that then increased, and as of yesterday, pushed us over a threshold in our population positivity rate, one of the metrics from the Big Ten, into an area where we felt that we needed to pause. With that pause, we enhanced our testing protocols yesterday from the normal Big Ten required testing protocols to include additional PCR testing to make certain that we were maintaining and protecting the health and safety of our student athletes and staff, coaches, but also to make certain that we were maintaining a clean playing field as we agreed we would do with our conference for our opponent, University of Illinois. During this time, our goal has always been to make certain that we maintain health and safety of our student athletes, and we will continue to do that with enhanced testing protocols moving forward, so that, as Gene mentioned, we can first and foremost make certain that our student athletes and staff stay healthy and safe, but that we give them every opportunity to be able to return as quickly as possible to participating. We're challenged just like everyone else to make certain that we meet these challenges appropriately. We've done so with the guidance of all of our experts provided to us at Ohio State, with our experts at the Big Ten Conference, our experts here in athletics, and certainly with our president. And so with that, we will continue to move forward in a fashion on a day-by-day basis to make certain that we put all of those things in place. I just want to say that of the individuals that have been tested positive, they're all doing very well. They're at home, they're convalescing well. No one's required significant medical treatment, and we have every intention of providing them what they need, but we have every expectation that they will recover and continue to do well and hopefully be able to return not only to athletics, but to the other responsibilities that they have in their daily lives as quickly as possible. We will continue to follow all the guidelines that we have been following, set forth by the CDC, the state of Ohio, Franklin County, and Ohio State University when it comes to isolation following a positive COVID test. We have instituted aggressive contact tracing to make certain individuals that may potentially be at risk will be quarantined. We will enhance testing around those individuals to identify anyone who is positive. And we will continue to utilize all the resources that we have to make certain that the student athletes, staff, and coaches of this group and at our university will continue to receive any care that they would need during this time period. And so with that, I'll stop there and turn it back over to Gene for comments from Coach.
All right, go ahead.
All right, thanks, Gene. Just wanted to say thank you to all those who have reached out over the last, day. In terms of your support, means a lot. It's been a very, very emotional and difficult week for everybody in the program. You think about Thanksgiving and being away from our families, and then this increase that we've had this week in positivities that to this point we've done an unbelievable job of, and couldn't have been prouder of the way that our entire organization has handled it. And the thing that we fear the most every time those test results come back, you hold your breath every day to see what's going on and how your team's doing. And then and here we are this week. And so that it's been very, very difficult that way. And, for those of us who have tested positive, then our concern is obviously with the players and the staff that have, and then obviously the team that's been through a lot this week. Our focus really right now is to keep everybody safe. Like Gene said, they're in quarantine. We're hoping to get some of these tests back, get some good news there, and then put the focus towards Michigan State. Our team right now, we're operating, Larry's doing a great job. And so the other assistant coaches with the team and communicating in a very day-to-day, hour-to-hour operation. But we're communicating through this medium right here in Zoom, and doing a lot of staff meetings. I'm going to do a staff meeting later this afternoon, and then a team meeting as well. Just continually communicating to our guys to make sure that we're all on the same page on where we're at. But again, I just wanted to say thank you guys for all your support. I'm resting comfortably at home, but this certainly is a very trying week for all of us here. So I'll turn it back over to you, Gene.
Jerry?
Yes, thank you very much, gentlemen. We're going to open right up for questions. Again, one question per individual, and please direct it to one of our three. We'll open up with Jared Smalley from WCMH. Jared?
Hi, thanks for doing this to all of you. I think this is a question probably best suited for Ryan and for Gene. What happens to the players who are affected? Understanding the protocols in the Big Ten, 21 days. What happens to them now in terms of their training, their maintenance, their care? What happens to them? What's their next step, essentially, to get back as a part of the program?
Yeah, so they'll be out for 10 days, and they go into self-isolation. Once they are out of self-isolation, then it becomes the protocol on getting back to play. And certainly you have to get yourself back in shape. A part of that is the cardiac MRI to make sure that we're cleared for myocarditis. And then we have a plan in place for getting them ready to play physically as well.
Thank you. Next up, Bill Landis with The Athletic. Bill?
Hi. I suppose maybe this question could be for Dr. Borchers, since it was said that the medical staff was guiding the decisions. How did you all as a group work together to decide to continue practicing this week as the positive cases kept climbing a little bit?
Yeah, so we made a number of decisions daily, every week, to modify practice and to make decisions about what could go on as we saw numbers of cases. I want to be clear, we never reached a threshold where we couldn't participate or practice until yesterday afternoon. And so really, this is not something that was going on Tuesday. This is something that really happened later in the week. It's been incredibly important that we've been able to communicate throughout this process with Gene Smith and certainly Coach Day and his staff throughout the week. And they've been incredible in making modifications and making adjustments as needed. I would agree it's been a incredibly unusual week and difficult week, but they've been incredible in their response. And so we made those decisions again out of an abundance of caution as we moved forward.
Next up, Rob Aller, the Columbus Dispatch.
Hi, this is for Gene and Jim. Obviously, player safety is paramount, but have there been discussions with the Big Ten, Gene or Jim, about revisiting the 6-game protocol, the 21-day? And Jim, if you could explain with maybe advanced, as you've learned things moving forward, is 21 days, could that be revisited?
Rob, I'll just tell you, one, no, the conversations have not occurred. And you know, as I said at the beginning, I understand that question and understand that people are thinking about that. But, you know, that's not where we are, team. You know, going back to Jared's question, you know, my concern today is making sure that our players get fed, making sure that if they need sports psychologists help, they get that. I mean, I get the question. I'm very sensitive to that, but that's not where we are. I mean, we made a decision late last night to do what we did. And so a lot of things occurred late last night. So the last thing on my mind was what you just asked. Now, might that come up later at some point? No question, Rob. But right now, you know, I haven't even thought about it because I want to make sure Ryan's got what he needs. And I want to make sure the young men that have tested positive have what they need. And I want to continue to talk with our doctors and others about whatever enhanced protocols we move forward with to give them a chance to possibly play against Michigan State. And so from my perspective, that's where I am. I don't know, Jim, if you have anything to add there.
No, Gene, I would just say that, as Coach Day mentioned, there's a 10-day isolation period. There's then a required 7 to 10-day return to activity transition period and some testing that must occur during that period. And so we're going to continue to follow those recommendations. And as Gene mentioned, worry first and foremost about the immediate health and safety of our players.
Next up, Nathan Baird with cleveland.com.
Hi, Ryan. As Jim said, that there was some alterations to the practice procedures this week. Can you maybe just go into detail once you saw that there was a problem on Wednesday night or first realized a problem on Wednesday, how you guys did sort of alter things going into Thursday, where we saw that you guys still did have a practice and a meal and everything? Can you just clarify how things were changed and how you tried to make things safer?
Sure. Yeah, we moved our meetings to virtual during the week, and then really for Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, we didn't put helmets on. We didn't go body against body. We kind of went against trash cans. And we had to wear our masks during the walkthrough, so we actually didn't practice, physically. It was a practice on paper, but we weren't running and sweating and all those things because we had to keep our masks on the entire time, wore gaiters. We didn't go against body. So those were the adjustments we made during the week as it went on.
Next up, Dan Hope, 11 Warriors.
Hey, I think this is a question for Gene. What are the things that need to happen between now and next week for his team to be able to go play at Michigan State?
Yeah, I think I'll let Dr. Borchers chime in here as well, and Ryan, but I think we need to continue to test and see that there's no more positives that occur. We need to make sure that working with our conference office that they're comfortable with what we're doing. Obviously, we'll have a number of student athletes who wouldn't have an opportunity to compete because they would be still quarantined. But the main thing is to watch our positivity rate. We know where we are right now. We need to see if we have more and make sure that the young men who have been negative continue to be negative. And our objective is to make sure that they're all safe and healthy, but also to make sure that if we can play when we go to East Lansing, we're going up on a clean plane and we're going to play up with a clean field. So Dr. Borchers may have some other things to add there. Jim?
No, I think that's exactly right, Gene. I think the only thing I would say is that we will focus day to day on the health and safety of our athletes, our enhanced testing protocols, and making certain that we also pay attention to all the other issues around health and safe participation for our athletes that allow them to have an opportunity to play. So we'll focus on that every day.
Thank you.
Next up, Steve Hellwagon, 24/7 Sports.
I guess just the chronology of events, it sounds like this is something that began to occur with, I presume, Tuesday morning testing before practice or midday. And it sounds like there weren't enough tests to completely shut things down, but you continued to move on from there. And then was it not as big a concern again until the Friday afternoon tests? Or I guess if somebody could just address maybe the chronology of events as the way things unfolded.
Yeah, it really, well, I can address that. We didn't have really any concerns until Wednesday. And as we started to see a couple things that we had not seen before, certainly was not enough to make us pause on Wednesday, but as Coach Day mentioned, to discuss putting some adjustments in place to make certain we were remaining vigilant about the potential for seeing any increase in our positivity rate. But it really wasn't until yesterday, when we did testing yesterday and with enhanced testing yesterday, that we really got to a point where it became very clear that we needed to pause. And so unfortunately, this wasn't a decision we could make early in the week. This was really not a decision from my standpoint that could be made until yesterday.
Steve, to give you a little bit more on that chronology, if you recall, we had made adjustments on Friday to fly up on Saturday morning. I think you knew that, and we felt that we could play. But as we continued to test into the evening, the numbers got to a point where it became clear that we couldn't promise, first and foremost, that we would be putting our players on a plane that would be healthy, and then ultimately have a clean field on Saturday. So that's kind of to give you a back end of that chronology you're looking for, Steve.
Next up, Austin Ward, Letterman Row.
Gene, I know predictions here are kind of pointless with this virus, but when you are sitting down and looking to next week, when do you project the team activities might be able to resume? And secondly, when you're talking about trying to play next week for Ryan, how much time would a team need to be able to actually play and feel safe with just the preparation for a game by Saturday?
Great question. You know, it's kind of fluid, frankly. We're going to have to go day by day, see where we are today. We'll test again tomorrow. We'll see what we got with tests tomorrow. And so it's going to be day to day. Wish I could say it's, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. I really can't. We're going to have to, it's too much uncertainty here. I'm sorry. We just have to look at each day and see what we got. And now there is a point to your second question. I defer to Ryan about, there's probably a point where we got to say we can't compete, strategically. But so it's really day to day. I can't say that we have like a certain day and time. We just don't have that.
Yeah, I would say that, I would just say that, I think you could get it done by practicing Thursday, making sure you have a good hard practice Thursday, and then you could walk through on Friday and play on Saturday. But again, we'll just have to take it day by day and see how it goes.
Next up, Bill Rabinowitz, the Columbus Dispatch. Bill?
Yeah, this is for Ryan. Ryan, I know the sacrifices that you've made to, to coach this year, being apart from your family largely. How difficult has this been, especially given all the precautions that you've taken? And first of all, how do you feel?
Thanks, Bill. I'm resting comfortably. I have an extremely heavy heart, though. I mean, this is the sacrifices that have been made by so many, and the anxiety over months and months and months of every day getting test results back to make sure that the entire program is safe, and then experience it this week, Thanksgiving week. I can't sit here and tell you it's anything other than really, really hard. But like I told the team, it's just another opportunity to go get through some adversity and work through adversity and learn more about yourselves. And that's the only way that I can really describe and put a positive spin on it right now, because it isn't fun. Nothing about this is good, but I guess it's just going to make us tougher. It's going to make us stronger. It's going to make our young men better husbands, better fathers. And I really believe that going through all this is going to make us all stronger. But that doesn't mean it's been easy. It doesn't mean it's been any fun at all. So it's been difficult, but thanks for the concern.
Next up, Doug Maurice, cleveland.com.
This is for Dr. Borchers or Gene. I just want to make sure I have the facts straight because you guys know much better than I do. You did cross a threshold for one of the Big Ten numbers, but not both. I know there's the 5% number and the 7.5. I feel like one of those was mentioned in the course of this discussion. I just want to make sure we have those facts correct. If you could make sure we don't report this incorrectly on maybe what was a Big Ten threshold and what was not a Big Ten threshold.
Yeah, so Doug, we yesterday did go beyond the population positivity rate threshold that was set forth by the Big Ten. And we have not gone beyond the test positivity rate threshold that was set forth by the Big Ten. So we were not in a position where, as you know from the medical subcommittee, where we would have been forced to stop and pause for 7 days. As we made those decisions and put those thresholds and guardrails in place during that time, it was obviously there for that reason, but also to give institutions the opportunity to assess the situation and make decisions that are best for their situations. And that's what we did yesterday is we had to make that decision when that population positivity threshold was crossed.
Thank you.
Folks, we have just about 5 more minutes. Doug, I'm sorry.
No, I'm good. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. We just have about 5 more minutes. We're going to jump over to Heather Dinich with ESPN.
Just to follow up on Doug's question, can anyone be more specific as to the scope? Are we talking about 10 to 20 people? Are we talking about 50? Can you tell us if certain position groups have been decimated? Can you clarify it for layman's terms for readers?
Yeah, so Heather, I'm not going to give you specific numbers because we want to protect the privacy of our individuals, and I would ask everyone to do that. This has been a really tough time for them, and we have no pattern that's been identified amongst these numbers of individuals. We have no one specific position group or one group of people that were, identified as a cluster in this. The positives are out of our total 170 individuals that are in our tier 1 congregate group, which includes staff, coaches, and players. And we've had individuals in all of those areas that were affected. And so, again, once we crossed that 7.5% threshold, that's when we decided that we needed to pause.
Next up, Bruce Feldman with Fox Sports. Bruce?
Thanks, Jerry. This question for Gene and Dr. Borchers, and maybe this is a little bit of overlap with what I think Austin asked earlier, but if you guys have no more positive tests this weekend in the team, how soon could you guys be allowed to be back in the facility?
Yeah, Bruce, and I'll let Doc add to that. But, as I shared earlier, we don't know. I mean, the approval process is us. It's not like we got to get approval from the Big Ten or anyone else. It's us. And so what we have to do is watch our culture and environment. Certainly got to watch to see that we don't have a continued spike in the positivity rate. But we'll collaborate, the 3 of us, and pull in our president where appropriate, and we'll make a decision. And so I wish I could say, these are the things that have to happen, and it's going to happen on this day. You can't do that with this pandemic. It's impossible. And so I don't know if that helps you at all, Bruce. I'm sorry, but I'll ask Jim to add if he's got anything to add.
No, the only thing I would say, Bruce, is that we have said all along we'll be driven by the data that we have, and we'll look at the data and we'll make decisions based on the data that we have. And we'll try not to forecast what that data will be because that gets us into trouble. And so we'll use the data that comes out of our process and make the best decisions moving forward as we move into this next week.
Thanks.
Next up, Pete Thamel, Yahoo.
Yeah, thanks, Jerry. I guess a couple fact things, like Doug asked, just to make sure we're all in line here. Could you have played the game at Illinois if you decided to do that? And was part of it, like Gene mentioned the phrase clean plane before, was part of it concern over maybe not having a clean plane and taking the pause now to perhaps be in better shape down the road? And one other fact thing, like for Ryan, does your timeline allow you to be back to coach against Michigan State? Thanks.
So I would share, Pete, and I'll let Jim talk a little bit. The thresholds that the Big Ten has in place, that the medical subcommittee has put in place, I don't think any team in our league has actually hit those. I don't think so. I might be wrong. But we're making a decision, not just on the thresholds, but making a decision based upon what we see. It kind of gets back to Heather's question. We're seeing, in our particular case, it's kind of a community type of spread. We didn't see spikes in specific areas. And so could we have played? Sure. Was it the right thing to play? No. And so that's just, I don't know if that answers your question a little bit, but the standards that the thresholds define are guideposts. And so you have to really understand your culture, your environment, your athletes, and what's going on, where they live and what they do and everything in that space. We know that you're not, in our facilities, we know that you're safe, but we still live in a community. And that's our challenge in Franklin County, and our kids live in the community. So I'm going off a little bit, Pete, I'm sorry. But the reality is that's it. The thresholds are just guideposts. Jim, I don't know if you have anything to add there.
No, just that, as you know, from the very beginning of that process, that we put those thresholds in place to provide some guidance. And as Gene mentioned, and the expectation was that as institutions would be seeing numbers that would approach those thresholds, they would be making decisions, just as institutions in this conference have, to pause. And that's exactly what should happen. And it shouldn't be, a hard and fast, just go play at all costs. And I think that's exactly where we arrived yesterday afternoon.
Folks, we have time for just two more questions. Next up, Dom Taberry, WBNS 10 TV. Dom,
sorry, I couldn't get unmuted. This is for Gene. I just want to make sure, because I heard Doc Borchers say to 7.5. You got, 170 folks in the program. Did you reach the 7.5 with all 170 then?
Jim, why don't you talk about that?
Yeah, so Dom, the population positivity rate is 7.5% of your tier 1 group at 170, and we did cross that threshold. I think I mentioned that a couple times. So we had a large enough number of individuals as of yesterday where we did cross that threshold, and that's what gave us then to have the conversation about needing to pause.
But where you would have to shut down for 7, would that be just the players then, Doc?
No, we would have to meet a threshold on the test positivity rate, which actually looks at the number of tests that are done and the number of tests that are positive. And so there are 2 metrics that have to be met in order from the Big Ten standards where you have to shut down. And we do not meet the threshold on the test positivity rate.
And we'll have one final question. Adam Rittenberg, ESPN. Adam?
For Dr. Borchers, obviously there have been pauses and stoppages in the Big Ten and around the country. Most of them are for 2 weeks. They usually take 2 games off the schedule. I'm just curious, because you guys are at the population positivity threshold, maybe not the team one yet, does that give you any more confidence it's going to only just be a 1-week deal? Or how much do you look at just what's happened around the country, that these are typically 2 weeks before a team can get back to activities?
We certainly have looked at data and looked at what's happened, at other teams, but again, to try to forecast what's going to happen tomorrow, let alone what'll happen for this next week, I can't do that. All I can tell you is we're going to continue to test. We're going to continue to follow the data with our group, and we're going to move forward appropriately. And so do I think it's going to be 3 or 4 days or 3 or 4 weeks? I don't know, because I just don't know what we're going to see. But we certainly saw enough that we had to pause. And my hope is that we're going to get our student athletes back to competition as quickly as possible.
Gene, Dr. Borchers, Coach Day, thank you so much for your time and for sharing some additional insight for the media, very important insight for them this morning. I really appreciate your time. Members of the media, we'll end this now, but I would like to just echo the thoughts of everyone, all three of our individuals on this call about respecting the privacy of our student athletes and the members of this program. Obviously, it's a very difficult time. And we do ask that the privacy of the student athletes is respected, and that of their families too. We will be as helpful as we can be from a communications and from an athletic department standpoint with keeping you up to date with information as we get it, and that'll be the protocol. And again, we'll be as helpful as we can, and we'll appreciate all of your efforts to respect the privacy of everyone. So,
hey, Jerry, let me share one thing before we sign off. And I want to thank all you for the hard work you do, and we kind of look at you as part of the family, and we felt we needed to do this today, even though all of us are slightly on edge, just to try and give you some clarity so you can do your jobs. But you guys are around our program constantly. And you know what we try to do. I just want to thank Ryan. I can't begin to share with you how hard his job is. I can't. I think most of you who are with him every week, periodically, you get it. But I can't tell you how hard his job is, particularly now. It's beyond describing. So I just wanted to share that with you because I know you get it, and ask that you continue to do what you do excellently at a classy level. But please be sensitive to that as we move forward. I have no clue what this afternoon or tomorrow will bring or next week will bring. I do know one thing. We have a great leader in him. We have a great leader in the rest of our coaches, and we have great kids. And our objective is every day is to help them, give them the opportunity to do what they want to do. And that's to play the game they love. It'd be easy to walk away and say, no, we're done, shut it all down, it's history. But we fight every day for them. And I want to let you know that in him, with what he's going through, team, I want you to understand that. And I know you get it. So thank you for listening to that last part, because I wanted to make sure I shared that. Wish he was still on the call. I'd see he had to jump off, because I would have preferred to have him hear it, because he's killing it, and it's hard for him. So just wanted to share that. So thank you for joining us this morning, and stay safe.
Thank you, everyone.